What about the other guard? Are you sure he can't ID you?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, he can't. It happened too fast and he was behind us. He was blasting away. No.
And the tweakers. You wore your masks, right?
Yeah, except when we grabbed them.
Why would they buy drugs off guys in ski masks?
Because they're shithead tweakers.
That's exactly why they wouldn't remember.
You better hope not, since you let them go.
That was the plan, Pope. If the cops match the DNA, they arrest them, not us.
If they find them dead in the desert with bullets in their heads?
Maybe not the cleanest misdirect.
Scott, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
I told you in the green room that I was a humongous fan of the movie when it came out, the David Michaud film from Australia. So if you were a big fan of this movie, were you nervous going into a television adaptation?
Not any more than I just normally am for any job I've ever done. You know, when I got the script, I was a big fan of the movie too, but when I got the script, it was clear it was this whole different thing. So I knew there's going to be comparisons and there's going to be anticipation, but very clearly and quickly, people are going to realize it's a whole different entity.
Well, it's not fair, I think, to make comparisons really, because it's taking the basic setup of the movie and moving it somewhere else and then also extending it into the length of a television show, which is completely different than a movie for so many obvious reasons.
Right. I mean, I think early on they were talking about putting this in Detroit, which would have changed things tremendously. But, you know, when I got the job, I went down to Oceanside, California, where the story takes place, which is a very strange, interesting place. It's, you know, got a lot of surfing, and it's interesting, but it's a seedy, dark town with a lot of drug and alcohol issues, clearly. So I knew the show was going to be in the right place when I got down there.
So did you do some research down there, or were you just kind of hanging
I just went and ate lunch.
I got it. I'm ready, guys.
It's like sat at the diner for a couple of days. No, but it's cool. Like I got stopped by Border Patrol on the way home on the first day I was there, and you know Camp Pendleton, this military base, is right there. So there was a big military influence in the town. There was just stuff there. There was just clearly there was interesting stuff to play with.
So the pilot is directed by, and the whole show is produced by John Wells, of like acclaimed television producer and movie director. He created ER.
He did. ER was, I got to talk to him a lot about that, you know, just because I kept saying, so ER was your show, you know? He was like, yep, that was me. That's when my life changed, so yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk to someone who created and was running a 22 episode a year.
16 seasons.
Did he stay on for 16 seasons?
Yep.
Like, how is he doing anything now? I feel like you would do 16 years of that job and just be like, I am done with everything. I am burnt out.
I think, like, I mean, I'm sure you'd be the same way, and you think that, but then at some point you want to go and do something else. You're not just going to go to Hawaii and sit there for the rest of your life. Even though he has an amazing place in Hawaii, apparently.
So was John Wells a name on this, a sort of a big draw for you, being a part of working with him?
I mean, yes, for sure. That was that I was definitely interested in working with. But at this point, for me, after meeting him, that became really clear. He was this really level-headed, cool guy. So that matters to me right now in my career. But to be honest, it was just the story potential and the character itself of Baz that I thought I could really dive into and bring some of my own stuff to it. And I thought there was a real opportunity for me to make the character a lot more interesting and complicated than what's on the page right away. And as you've seen in the first episode, I thought there was real potential to take it into interesting places.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in the second episode, it moves into really interesting places and it sets up your character for even more.
Yeah, you think I'm going to be like the good guy. And I don't want to play just the boring good guy anymore. So, you know, I knew that they were going to try to flip that perception for the audience, and they've done that really nicely.
I feel weird. I feel like I walked into this interview having seen the movie and the show, and I feel like a lot of people haven't seen the movie.
Like, what are you guys talking about?
Like, animal what? What is it? Like, do you want to give the basic premise for the audience, the sales pitch?
Well, I can't give you a sales pitch, but I'll tell you it's about the Cody family who live in Southern California in a kind of a blue-collar town, Oceanside. And it's sort of this crime family run by Ellen Barkin's character, who plays Smurf. And she sort of doles out their crime responsibilities to her 4 crazy sons. The real crux of the show comes when our sister, who's been banished from the family, she passes away, and her son, our nephew, comes to live with us. And it's kind of the fight for this young guy's soul, really, and see, will he join the family, will he become a Cody, or will he not? So, how was that?
That was perfect. That was
Thanks.
perfect.
Thanks.
And if you're interested in that, you should also go back and watch the Australian film as well. I think you'll enjoy both.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. And so if when you love that movie, you come in and you start noticing the different take on it. Were you excited about that different take? Were you just like, okay, well, this is where we're going?
Well, I died
Different.
20 minutes into the movie, so.
That's true. I was actually kind of when I was watching the pilot, I was like, oh, they're gonna
kill
this
Scott.
guy. Because they kill the sort of like leading man in the
No, I survive. For now. We'll see what happens.
And the guy that plays the actor, excuse me, I'm dropping his name, but
sure.
who played plays the sort of version of Ben Mendelsohn's character.
Hope. Yeah, Sean
Hope.
Hattersley.
He's so good.
He's great. And that's tough. Coming from that movie where that character was so celebrated. And that
So
actor-
Ben Mendelsohn.
So Ben Mendelsohn, so much.
Yeah.
So that as an actor, you really felt for him having to dive into those shoes where people really like that character. But he does something really special and really good in the show. So
Well, I think he does something. Ben Mendelsohn is so twitchy and sweaty and constantly feels like he's tweaking out, whereas the Pope is played with a more of like a stoic mental illness that is
Right.
something that's like driving him crazy, but he doesn't want anyone else to really see it, or he doesn't want to let on.
that's the vulnerability of the character for sure, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're coming from, one of the things that you said, you met John Wells, super level-headed, nice guy, and that's where you want to be at in this place in your career, the kind of people that you want to work with. Is that after years of having worked with some sort of being in the business and doing some stuff with non-level-headed, no names, of course?
Yeah, no names, but I mean, yeah, that's a big part of it, especially when you're on a movie, you get the script and look, you're going to be with these people for 2.5 months at most, and then you're gone. A series, when I sign on to do something, it's 5 to 7 years, and you really, at my age now, you really want to be in good hands and have a calm existence on set as much as you possibly can. I mean, it's a crazy job, so that's not always available for you, but I think that's what his main thing is that he's a great writer, really talented writer, but he also creates an environment that is really fun to be around, and that kind of drips down onto set where everybody's there to be a pros. He doesn't put up with a lot of actor nonsense, which is nice.
Right. You don't have someone who can solve the problems without freaking out beforehand.
He's not a screamer, We've all worked with screamers. It's not fun.
I'm sorry to all the people who work for me, guys. I'm kind of.
Are you a screamer, man?
No, I'm not a screamer.
No, you don't seem like a screamer.
Ellen Barkin, who plays the mother in this, the
Yeah.
insanely sexy
Yes.
fireball Ellen Barkin. What's it like working with her?
It's great. I mean, it's different. What's interesting is when I had the job a little bit before she got the job, and when names were being bandied around, I was like, well, that might work, it might not. And then when they landed on Ellen, it just kind of made a lot of sense because she's so intense and she carries a lot of danger. She doesn't put up with fools that easily.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and in the show, we really needed that sense of danger. So she brought that to the table every day. So, you never know what you're going to get. She'll surprise you in scenes. She'll, scream out of nowhere at you. And, you just have to, in a great way, I mean. And it really keeps all the younger actors on their toes. And I don't know, it's just a great environment she creates that way.
She's ferocious.
She is ferocious.
And she does a
like
really...
an animal.
Oh, and in her kingdom.
Yes, in her kingdom.
That she's the kingdom.
She's
Oh
the head
my
of it.
God.
So you're picking up on the metaphors, man. That's good.
Great job, guys. Let's go.
See you, everybody.
But she also brings elements to her character and to her performance that I don't think I've seen her do a lot, which is that in many ways, while it seems like it might be wrong, she's very nurturing with these sons, And I don't think I've
Yes.
seen Ellen Barkin play a very nurturing character in a long time.
She loves doing that. She loves, again, surprising the writers and doing that the kind of out of the blue and doing different stuff. And yeah, that's a huge part of the character, though, because without it, why are these grown men still living at home under their thumb of their mother if she's not, created this environment where we're vying for her nurture? You know what I mean? Why are we there? If she doesn't have that, if she's just yelling and dominant all the time, we'd be like, let's get the F out of here.
I don't need this crime ring.
Stop yelling at me all the time. So, yeah.
Your first big break was with Felicity, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What was that like for you? That was like that you were just a young actor. Had you just gone out to Hollywood to become an actor at that point? Or you'd been sort of
I was
hitting
not.
the streets for a
I
while?
was in New York for half a minute at a theater school. it was not for me. So I dropped out, and I was like living on my mom's couch, had no money, had no agent. And I got a call, and they found my mom's number, and like called my mom's apartment and were like, do you want to audition for this show? And I was like, I don't want to do a show on the WB. Who's J.J. Abrams? I don't know who that is. So,
That is still the most insane thing to me, that the creator of Felicity is J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
I
it was
I
his
know
first show.
Felicity was a good show, but at the same time, as you said, it was a show on the WB. He's now the director of Star Wars and the King of Hollywood.
I know. But I mean, he had already written, Man Without a Face when he was 23, Regarding Henry when he was 22, for huge number. He was kind of a genius kid. So this was his first show, and I think, like they're doing now with a lot of these networks, they were trying to do something different then, and he wanted to do a show. And Matt Reeves is a good counterpart to him, who's gone on to direct, huge stuff as well, but was a good counterpart. They played off each other very well for the sensibility of what that show was. But an agent heard I said no to this audition. I don't know why I said no to the audition. I had no money and no agent. But so they got me the script.
How did they hear of you, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'd been working, before I went to New York, I'd been working a lot in Canada. So I'd done a short film that got me a movie that some cast directors in LA had seen and liked. So, and I dropped my agent and went to New York to go to theater school. So I had, it was back to kind of zero. But I got the script for Felicity and I read it, and it was clearly something I should do. So I kind of rented like a little video room downtown Toronto and went down and did these like weird Felicity love scenes with this 17-year-old cameraman who had to play Felicity. So it was kind of this awkward back and forth. But he was good. We had chemistry.
So you said no, and then an agent called your mom to convince her to call you?
Yeah. How old was I?
Well, the agent called you or called your mom to convince her to get you to
I
go?
didn't have a cell phone. This is like 98, so I didn't have like a cell phone or anything. They just looked up Mary Speedman. There's not like a lot of Speedmans out there. So they 411 Speedman. It turns out to be my mom, and yeah, that's what happened. It was one of my lucky breaks.
And that's how you would get in touch with Scott Speedman in
Yeah,
1998.
just through my mom. Oh, just call my mom. No, and then like 2 days later, I was on a plane. I sent down the videotape and got it and started shooting it like 5 days later.
And when you got out there and you were around JJ and Matt Reeves, was it pretty clear right away the sort of immense level of talent that they had?
Well, I wasn't like a seasoned Hollywood pro at all, so it wasn't like...
Oh, these guys are better than the rest, I can tell.
I know, these guys are going places. But in retrospect, yeah, now that I look back, it's hilarious how, great they were. And like, I guess the thing that JJ probably did better than anybody I've worked with still is he's hilarious and, super charismatic on set and cool under pressure, which goes a long way. I mean, obviously he's crazy talented, but a lot of people, there's talent in Hollywood. I think what he did better than anybody is create an environment that's like super fun to be with. And, you can imagine directing Star Wars, and I think I can imagine he created that environment for everybody that way too.
So also not a yeller.
Not a yeller, no, a jokester, fun, makes everything fun.
You were in, I think, one of the great horror movies of the past 10, 15 years, The Strangers, which
Yes.
is a direct...
Glad you said The Strangers, not something.
Why, what did I say?
No, I don't know.
What a normal...
Well, I don't know. It could have been like a comedy that was just horrible.
Oh, yeah. Comedy, but horrifying to watch.
Horrifyingly bad.
Yeah. I was covering my eyes. I felt so bad. But it's a great one of the first home invasion movies, which turned out to be kind of a trend in Hollywood because everyone realized, oh shit, one location, 4 people, we can make this movie on the cheap.
Right.
But yours was kind of the best of the home invasion movies.
It was a good one. Yeah.
Did you know when you were making it did it feel like you were making something that was going to be great, or is it hard to tell because the mechanics of a horror movie from the outside before tone and atmosphere is laid in through editing,
that's
the mechanics can feel cliche.
That's the tough part. The after we all leave, I think a great horror movie is made a lot of times. But this one, when I read it, I knew that it was going to be something. I remember reading it late one night and just getting up in the middle of reading it and locking the door because there was a very high creep factor. It was really, really well written. Brian Bertino did a great job, and he's a really talented guy. So yeah, I was pretty sure that had commercial possibilities, and kind of I've been lucky to with Felicity or maybe Underworld and stuff in a different kind of way, and The Strangers. And this show too, to be totally honest with you, feeling like it would surprise me if these things didn't find some sort of an audience.
Oh, absolutely. I think especially with this, when I watched
This one for sure.
I watched the first 2 episodes, and it was like, this is a solid move on everybody's part. It's going to
so.
find an audience.
It's going to tank now, but we'll see.
Sorry, Scott.
I'm going to blame you, man.
Don't come back to AOL Build. Damn you. I'm curious, though, not to stay on The Strangers too long, but I'm curious what that script kind of looked like, because it is, what's so smart about the end product is how minimal it is. The atmosphere is about minimalism, you know? Nothing about it goes over the top, and that's what makes it really creepy. How does that translate? How did that translate for you in the script?
It was that way. It was really what was separated it, I thought, and still do, is it started with a relationship where you see these people kind of falling apart at the beginning of this story. So it was just very minimal. But I mean, I think early on, like, Mark Romanek was going to direct it with, like, Mark Ruffalo and Naomi Watts, yeah, which would have been a different thing, you know. And I think when it came to me, and when Liv Tyler got it and then came to me, you know, the budget got a little smaller. So maybe that's one of those lucky things, you know.
Right. It's a product of its own
I'm
environment.
gonna give you $5 million for that, you know, not
Which-
25.
If it was 5 at the time for a movie, it would never be 5 now.
Well,
2007 in a horror movie,
Yeah.
5 million. Like, I feel like.
maybe it was, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I still think, as you said, that those are the things they're trying to do now, where some of those things really work a lot better when the production value isn't, you know, these huge numbers getting to it. I think it services the whole movie in a sense.
You're making another movie with Bertino, right? Or you
I
made
did, you know, he was shooting in Canada and he asked me to come up and do a part, and I definitely did. You know, successes are rare in Hollywood, and when you have one and he calls, and I definitely would be there. But I'm not one of the main people in the movie at all.
Have you, I mean, outside of Felicity, there's a lot of comedy in Felicity. Have you been able to dabble that much in comedy? I feel like most of the roles that I know you for are.
Yeah, no. They don't.
There
call
it
me.
was, that comedy goal.
That timing. No, not as of yet. No, that's probably due to a number of different things. I don't really know why. But no, I just, you know, when people think comedy, I don't think I'm at the top of the list just yet. Not yet. Angsty, whispery, angsty stuff, sure.
Let's open it up to the audience for some questions. Does anyone have any questions out there in the audience?
Hi, thanks
Hello?
for coming.
Yeah, sure. Thanks
I
for
have a
being here.
question. For Animal Kingdom, did you have to research any crime families? And if you did, do you have any particular that you like more or less?
There wasn't any particular crime family I was definitely into. It was more movie stuff that I grew up watching. Oddly, I went back to The Town to look at that what Ben Affleck did with that, and Heat was a big movie for me. So those are sort of the inspirations. I like briefly looked at the family that the movie was based on, but once I saw it had nothing to do with the people we were playing, I just sort of concentrated on what we were doing and didn't get too distracted by, you know, the reality of different crime families.
And you're also kind of the, I would say, the son or the member of the family who's least like a criminal on the surface.
Yeah. That's on the surface. Hopefully we get to move that around a bit. But yeah, I think that's kind of the perception we're playing with right now, for sure. But I think I'm kind of adopted into the family. Well, I am adopted into the family, but and with the other main protagonist, Jay, like, I think if Baz had found another family as a young person, maybe he could have been a lawyer or a different type of person. Like, I think he's just been influenced by this family heavily.
Next question.
Hey,
man.
I was wondering, since you do a lot of comedic roles and The Strangers was a movie that I really did happen to like, I was wondering if there was any sort of different approach you had to take towards, like, you know, acting in a comedy as opposed to acting in a horror movie, because I've heard on the set of horror movies it can actually be quite funny and entertaining and stuff like that. So I was wondering what your approach was.
Well, I think when you're doing a horror movie, you're trying to keep it light. I think when, you know, I remember Jeff Bridges talking about this, when you're doing really intense stuff, I mean, I think laughing and joking around kind of allows you to go into kind of the more intense emotions of something, whether it's a heavy drama or a horror movie. But yeah, I mean, any movie, if it's going well, is usually fun. So it's a lot of laughing, and then they say rolling, and then you try to get serious, which doesn't go well all the time. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun making that movie. It was a lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Do you guys keep it light on the set of Animal Kingdom?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been funny, get 5 boys. I'm like the oldest guy there, which is hilarious to watch this like 20-year-old and 25-year-old and 30-year-old guy like living their lives in Hollywood now and coming into work a little raggled some mornings. So it's kind of funny to sit with them and talk about their lives, and we laugh a ton. Yeah.
How does Ellen play off the boys?
She's great, man. She gets in it with us and laughing with us, makes fun of us. I mean, she calls me a freaking moron all the time, and she gives it to everybody. She's really whip smart. So,
I think we have time for one more question.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Hi, yeah.
So besides acting, what do you like to do in your free time?
When I'm doing this and I'm doing this, on this crazy schedule that I'm on, I kind of live pretty much an oddly solitary life. I go hiking in the Angeles Crest Forest a lot. I run a lot up there. I spend like half a day up there every Saturday morning and just trying to get away from it all. Or I go up to Big Sur or Ojai and stuff like that. So, I do the other normal, boring stuff. But of the interesting, different stuff I do, that's what I do.
Scott, the show premieres June 14th, right?
Yes, at 9.
And it's a 2-hour season premiere, isn't it?
We're going to show the pilot and we're going to show the first episode.
Which are the 2 episodes that I've seen, and they're fantastic. Scott, thanks so much for being here. Congratulations.
Well, man, thank you.